Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. Let me just add you to the stream, brother.
There seems to be a delay in your speech and video. Is that fine? Is that normal?
Not really. It doesn't seem a bit slow on my side. And we are actually live now, so no swearing, yeah, no bad words, Sheikh. Sheikh,
Alhamdulillah.
man, we finally arranged to sit down and get this thing going.
Alhamdulillah. And bathing in the heat, brother. Bathing in the heat. Give me the
MashaAllah.
heat, brother.
Enjoy the sun while
Alhamdulillah.
it's there, brother. Enjoy the sun.
It'll be done soon.
Okay, we're back. We're live. We've kind of new a different kind of format, different kind of perspective. Realities of life from a Muslim perspective. So we're going to be looking at the latest thing that's been happening, news, current affairs, issues that are kind of affecting the Muslim community, and get some discussion going on some of these topics. You ready, Sheikh? You ready to jump in? You prepared?
Ready, bro. Ready.
Cool. First thing I want to touch on is the passing away of our brother Ismail Christopher Beaumont. A brother that, mashallah, became Muslim at 19 years of age, and done so much in a short amount of time.
Yeah.
And touched a lot of hearts because of his journey. The fact that he, mashallah, went to Medina, was teaching, and then he got cancer, but was very open in his journey. What do you think of that? What do you think about his achievements in a short amount of time, and how he actually was very open with his journey through cancer? I would say, he kind of wore his heart on his sleeve, was very brave, and the effect that had on the Muslim community as a whole. What do you take? What's your take on that?
There's one word you mentioned there, I think kind of summarizes, not summarizes, it kind of embodies why he was who he was. And that was bravery. It takes bravery and courage to want to set up your own project, want to author your own books, want to dedicate your time and effort to produce something of your own accord. It takes bravery to come to the world and admit your failings, to admit you're ill, you're not well. I mean, there's a lot of things in that which comes from being bold and brave and out there. And I guess one of the I guess additional features to that is the feeling that those who he speaks to are the same as him. I think that's probably another way to look at it. Meaning, if you recognize where you've come from and what you needed back then, and you want to make sure you can give that help that you needed then to others who need it now, I think that kind of answers demonstrates a lot of what we saw. Because I mean, and this is not to put down anyone, but compared to, I mean, I think every year there's students from the UK who are graduating.
Yeah.
But we don't see hardly anyone doing the amount of effort he's been doing in terms of being public, in terms of producing, making videos. I mean, his visual videos are very professionally done by himself even. I think even about a year ago, I think I saw there was a madrasa even. I think he was organizing a madrasa. So I mean, my point is he was active himself in doing something. And it seems as though he was going to do it whether you helped him or not. And I think that boldness, that courage, to just get up and do, is something we should all reflect on and try and emulate. I mean, that's essentially what Muslims do. Really, we look at the greats of those before us and try to emulate the good that they did, and we ask Allah to forgive them for the bad that they may have done. Which I don't know if the brother Ismail did anything bad as far as I'm aware. But I mean, I'm talking about the bad that we all do. I'm not saying that he's a perfect individual. I'm saying we all do things we all have sins. But I'm saying that He was very open and active, and I think also he got turbocharged when he found out about his illness.
Okay.
I mean, think about it.
Def.
If you already have
Mm,
courage and you
mm,
have a goal they want to achieve, you want to give dawah, and you're going out and you're doing it, and then you've been told
mm, mm.
you actually have a time frame,
Yes.
maybe a few years.
Mm.
So
But
I
you know,
guess
Sheikh, the reality
yeah,
is we're all on a time frame. We're all
yeah,
dying. Do you
yeah,
get what I'm saying? And I think obviously, thinking about death, people might say, "Oh, you're morbid. Why do we keep thinking?" But death will help you focus
yeah,
on priorities in life. And the reality is, we're all dying. We may not know the
yeah,
specific illness, but old age is an illness, you could say.
yeah. It reminds me of myself when I have a deadline to do. You know, like
Mm.
maybe when we were younger, we had coursework to do for our GCSEs.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Um, we started the coursework. We wrote down the title. We wrote down like what we're gonna basically do, but we didn't really do much about it until maybe a week before the deadline, and then we find ourselves working hard
Yes.
because we knew when the deadline was. So we have in our minds this vision that our deadline is when we're 60, when we're 70.
Yes. Yes.
So we're acting like that time, like we have time.
Mm. Mm.
But I'm going to
Mm.
say Ismail got turbocharged because effectively he got told, actually, although everyone else's deadline is at the end of the year, your one is now. Your one's
Yes.
next week. So he
Mm.
acted in accordance to the deadline being next week because he knew it was next week or it could be next week. Whereas
Yes.
we're acting we're very complacent, whereby we're still in our minds thinking, yeah, I got loads of time, you know. Probably I'm 60, I'm 70. I even know a brother whose his dad is in his 90s. We're
Yes.
thinking we're gonna make that.
Which is Allah knows best.
Well, I mean, even again, just so you mentioned that Ismail just passed away. I heard there's another brother graduate passed away recently from the head of another institute, a Maghreb Institute.
Yes.
Can't remember his
Yes.
name is what's his name? I didn't know him personally like that, but his name was what was it? Something Sharif, I think.
Yes. 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 I
I
see.
don't know
I
his name,
saw
but
messages going out. It was. I heard it
yeah,
was a sudden death though. He wasn't. There was no ailment.
that's my point. That's my point.
Yes.
So he wasn't even given a deadline. Like us,
Mm.
we haven't been given a deadline. We haven't been said, okay, you know what? Do you actually have an illness that may end your life in the next couple of months? For him, I heard it was
Mm.
a stroke
Okay.
caused by high blood pressure.
But he
So
wasn't. How old was he? He was in his 40s, or did he even reach 40?
I don't know because he was from the old
Mm.
batch. So from
Mm-hmm.
the old days, those who graduated from like the Yasser Qadi days, he was even before him actually by a little bit. So probably from the slightly after Abu Sama al-Dhahabi, his batch.
Okay. Okay.
Abu Sama graduated in the 90s, so I think he graduated in the early noughties.
Okay.
Point
Okay.
being, he's most likely older than me by far.
Mm.
Um,
So what is the Muslim perspective on life and death then? How can we just summarize it? And how does that kind of form our worldview, knowing that once you're born, you've got an expiry date and you've got a period of time. How should we look on our time?
just like in Allah said in the Quran, in mentioning Surah Al-Mulk,
Mm-hmm.
خلق الموت والحياة ليبلوكم أيكم أحسن عملا. He created the life and the death to see which one of you are greatest in deeds. So death is basically telling you only have a limited time to achieve
Mm-hmm.
what you can achieve for the hereafter. And
Mm-hmm.
death is just that reminder that, just as we were placing Brother Ismail in the ground, one day you will be that person.
Mm.
And when that happens, there's no more deeds. For you,
Yeah.
your qiyamah has begun. You don't have to worry about sometimes people are obsessed with the Dajjal and the last hour because they think that when the last hour comes, it's all over. But
Yes.
no, it's all over for you as soon as you're dead. You don't have to
Yes.
wait for the Dajjal, for the Sa'ah to come. The Sa'ah will come when you're dead. I think that's the thing people need to wake up to, that you don't have to wait until the major signs of the hour. Your hour comes when your ruh,
Yes.
when your soul comes through your mouth.
And that could
So
come
back to the point,
anytime.
and that can come anytime. So basically, the point is we need to constantly remind ourselves. So not remind ourselves. We need to constantly, remind ourselves that a reminder that leads to action. That's basically what it is. We need a reminder that leads to action. Even myself. Because the thing is, it's quite interesting how, I'm not saying because of COVID, but I'm just saying it's interesting how since COVID happened, it seems like there's a lot of people we're hearing are dying. Again, I'm not saying it's because of COVID. I'm saying that the topic of death seems to be recurring a lot, especially with those we
Yes.
knew. It's probably more. It's probably more connected to the fact that I'm just getting old myself. So all the people I know, that they're coming closer to the times whereas when I was younger, I knew
You
younger
didn't hear
people.
about
Maybe
it.
that's more, or maybe I just knew younger people. But it just seems to be a lot more people I'm hearing of are dying, serious illness, or dead. Or I'll even speak to a brother at the janaza
Yes.
about from the graduates who have passed or have had people in their own family passing, and I was surprised how many I was counting. I was like, I thought it was just a few, and I kept on counting. There's another one, and there was another one, and there's another. I mean, look at Brother Farouk. He passed away. Look at
Yes.
Amir's wife. She passed away. I mean, his wife's not a graduate, but it's from the graduate's family. We had Tambir, his son passed away, and there's so many people who we know directly from the graduates themselves. Even Darrell Burbank from Birmingham
Yes. Yes.
passed away. So it's a lot. If you start counting them, it's like a lot of people have passed away, even from the Mashayikh. You have Sheikh Khalid
Yes.
al-Baghdadi recently passed away. A lot of Mashayikh
Yes. A reminder.
have gone, and will be going soon. So it's just one of those things, and I'm wondering, like, as more and more of the Mashayikh, more and more of my teachers are passing, it's going to be the world's going to feel a bit more strange, because it's like, this is what I knew, innit? These are my teachers. These
Yes.
are the people who have gone
SubhanAllah.
before.
I want to take. I mean, mashallah, some of the brothers, or one brother did a video concerning the janazah itself.
Yeah,
Mashallah, Ustad Abdul Wahid gave a beautiful speech. But
yeah, definitely.
what came to my mind was the amount of brothers that were there from different areas.
Mashallah.
A huge amount of revert brothers there, young men.
Yeah, yeah,
And it was a beautiful scene. You went to the graveside? Did you go to the burial?
yeah. I
I
was
mean,
there. Yeah,
I went to mass. I couldn't get to the burial, but to me, it looked like a lot of young men have embraced Islam. Maybe they're being inspired by Ismail's life, and the future looks bright. It looked like there was young, fit Muslim men standing firm on their deen, and it was a beautiful scene.
Mashallah.
I mean, you obviously went. Did it look hopeful? Obviously, you're in the moment at the time, but how was it? What was it like at the graveside?
It was deep, mashallah, because it showed. It is there's a saying. I'm not sure the exact Arabic, but it's something like "Maw'idukum al-janaza," as in your appointment. If you want to know your qabul, your acceptance in the land,
Yes.
your appointment is the janaza.
So.
And that's something that's always been on my mind, because that is true. As in,
SubhanAllah.
how much impact you've had on the Muslim community in terms of
Yes.
good
Yes.
will become manifest there and then. If you did good in the community, I mean, if you were a good person, I mean, put it this way: if you were a good person in your life,
Yes.
it's hard for that goodness not to be noticed.
Yes. Yes.
And if it's noticed, when the news of your passing comes, it's hard for people not to want to pay the respects and make dua for you and send you off on your way.
Yes.
So that statement is very true. If you're wretched in your life and people knew you're wretched, when they have your past and be like,
Who's
oh,
gonna turn up?
subhanAllah,
Who's gonna turn up? Yeah.
it's going to turn up because you're wretched. I mean, that doesn't mean that someone who might not have anyone following. It might be for other reason. Maybe you're new revert. Maybe you died in a foreign land. Maybe it could lots of things. But I'm just saying that it was a good sign of Kabul of his efforts in his life, which is what he wanted. I mean, that was what he said in his video. He wanted all he wanted to know was Allah forgives him and accepts his deeds. So we asked Allah to forgive him and accept his deeds. But it seemed that there was a good level of Kabul and acceptance for his efforts, inshallah. May Allah reward him for what he's done. And encourage us all to keep it up, because I think that's another thing as well in terms of these kind of issues and legacies, that his passing actually inspires others to work harder. It's almost like passing on the flame. If you come to think about it. If that's actually a bad analogy there, but it's almost like passing on the baton to the next person.
And this is the point. What I was saying is that there were a lot of young brothers there, hopefully inspired by Ismail Boma's legacy, and from the video, obviously I was at the Masjid Sunday Masjid for the Janazah, and it was a nice vibe to see a lot of brothers, young brothers, old brothers, but in numbers, and were in Islam, and it seemed that the future is bright for Islam in the UK. What do you think?
That obviously, I don't
know. Yeah.
I mean, if you future is bright.
Say from the point of the numbers point of view, or the fact that the amount of reverts that were there, that Islam is developing, growing, affecting different communities, north, south, east, and west. It was a good. I thought it was a good vibe, good feeling.
I mean, there are definitely. I mean, in terms of. I mean, when you say growing or getting better, obviously growth and getting better basically refers to comparing the past to the present. So if I'm comparing how it was when I was that age, and how it was and how it is.
What's your perspective?
I mean, I'll be honest. The thing is, the issue is I was more involved in the community and those kind of things when I was younger, whereas now I'm less so. So my perspective is going to be skewed. I mean, I feel as though nothing much has changed since like in the noughties and the 90s. I think if anything, things have become a bit more obscure in modern days. A bit more confusing for the youth and the shabab. Go on.
I say, look from the angle. Say, for example, mashallah, the brother set up his madrasa, Maysor Arabic, and other things like yourself. You have Al Madar. You have Abdul Wahid. You got the Medina Institute, and you got students. Medina College. You got students within them. New shabab coming up, learning, more structured learning than in the past. When you go to Eid, the numbers are growing. So it seems that the number of masajid in the localities or in other masajid, people was expanding. So from that perspective, you might just judge my numbers. Then again, well, is it a numbers game? But numbers do show some development. But then also you have the aspect of society, the new things that are happening in society, that there's maybe more of a battle to be had than in the past. You get what I'm saying? So from a numbers point of view, and from a institutes, the amount of institutes that we have, the more masajid, there is a positive. But then on the other side, reality may be the amount of fitna that's going to come, and we're going to get onto that, is going to be more difficult.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. So it's I find it hard to measure. I mean, I haven't got any actual numbers.
Yeah.
But like that's what I'm saying. It could feel. As I'm saying, for me, it doesn't feel like. Hold on a sec. Can I? My example. So let's get my keys. So it does feel like nothing as much has changed. But I guess what it is, it could be just a changing of fitan.
God, the change of the guard.
Yeah, as in like when we were younger, the biggest fitna we were always moaning about in terms of, let's talk about examples, education and our kids in schools, was evolution. How they're pushing evolution to our kids and kufr and whatnot.
Yes.
Whereas now they've got other issues that they're pushing to our kids, which evolution is not even on the it's on the back foot now. No one even cares about evolution talk anymore.
Yes.
Or as it don't care as much. But yeah, I mean, definitely, there definitely is a lot of shabab, and I think also, yeah, because I think it's more like passing the baton on. So when we were younger, we
Yes.
had massive organizations that were kind of rallied around 3 or 2 kind of organizations or masajid when we were younger. So I guess the numbers may seem larger then, because there were
Yes.
more people in one location, whereas now there are even more people in more
Multiple.
locations. Alaykum salam to Allah. So that could be that as well. Like I said, it's hard for me to say because I don't really attend many conferences, that kind of stuff. So I don't really see that kind of stuff. But definitely, when mashallah, I was even after the janaza. I went to Medina College after, and I was very impressed. Mashallah, they had a lot of shabab there who came. You could say for the after discussion and whatnot, and a lot of du'at who came as well. So there are definitely a lot, and a lot of people who are actively giving da'wah, educating and teaching around. So that's another thing. So I think that was less when I was younger. When we were younger,
Yes.
the only really place you could really get knowledge was when we used to have those telephone link ups with Mashayikh
Yes.
abroad. If you remember those days, you go to someone's house, they had a telephone link up.
Yeah.
And I remember the only real lesson we had, like in fiqh and stuff, was like one day it was bricks and mashed. There was, I think it was Ahmed Markawi was there, and there was Sheikh Ahmed Weiss was there.
Yes.
But there weren't that many durus going on. So yeah, there is more going on if I think about it deeply like that. A lot of lessons happening in Medina College, a lot of lessons happening all across like Manchester and other places. So there are a lot of graduates here giving effort, giving durus, a lot of activity online as well. So yeah, so I think in hindsight, then looking at that respect, maybe it's more of a case of, because there's more people giving stuff.
Yes.
The individual numbers may not be as much as when I remember it when I was younger, but the overall numbers are growing. That could be said. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So if you like make just a number out there, just a number. Maybe when I was younger, we had like 100 people in one place, whereas now we have 10 people in 200 places. That makes sense. So that's still more people, but it seems maybe a bit less. I don't know.
Inshallah, future's bright. You mentioned the internet. We're gonna jump into one of the big topics, the issue of the internet and the activity on the internet, the Islamic activity on the internet. Now you had a discussion with, it wasn't a discussion. I think you kind of gave some feedback to Sheikh Asim concerning the Bitcoin.
The video replies. Yeah.
We kind of and this topic of, what do you think about the present form of the internet for Muslim discussion? Is it healthy? Like there's always been a back and forth on issues, and I've seen you kind of be polite in your discussion on the Bitcoin. Like if someone says something about Bitcoin which you believe to be wrong, then you apply in an academic way. Do you think the present time that the Islamic forum on the internet is healthy right now?
Well, first and foremost, I haven't always been polite. I made a video or two which wasn't that polite, but I mean, generally speaking, the internet is one of those things that the internet, as we all know, people have made a comparison between the internet and the printing press, and I do think that is a very fair comparison, because the printing press, it wasn't just the idea of putting ink on paper and increasing the efficiency of producing books. What the printing press did is it allowed ease in the dissemination and the distribution of knowledge. So you can think about, before we had the printing press, to get knowledge, you had to go to someone who had the knowledge. And if he wanted to give it to you, he would give it to you. And if you can get your hand on his manuscripts, it will probably take you an X amount of time to copy out those manuscripts, or X amount of time to read those manuscripts. And during that time, you obviously have to sustain yourself, feed yourself, accommodation. So there's a lot of things going on just to get that knowledge. from the individual who has the knowledge.
Mm.
With the printing press, however, it took away that need, that I can basically send my book to print, have 100, 200, 500, 1,000 copies made and distributed indiscriminately to people. I can have leaflets, like these pieces of papers. I can have pages just printed en masse and given out to people, which basically now opened up the door to knowledge, or the democratization of knowledge, you could say, where knowledge is it reduced the key, it reduced the not key holder, gatekeeper, the gatekeeper nature of knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
But that, with the internet, and again, I guess even with radio accelerated even further, whereby it did so with the voice, and even Telegram. I guess you could say Telegram came before the radio, but you can have Telegram where information can go from one city to another city instantly. And then we had the radio, which allowed you to do that with your voice, so you can speak from one place of the world to another part of the world.
Mm-hmm.
Again, information is being spread to a larger audience, rather than just you giving dars in your masjid. You can now give dars to masajid.
Yes.
Then we had video, rather than having someone watch you do something, can watch some in front, face to face. They can watch you on the TV screen. And I guess internet was the turning point, in the sense that it brought all of that together. It brought the video, it brought the audio, it brought the writing, and the computer, I guess you could say, and it brought the ease of copy and paste and distribution and the dissemination of knowledge. If you can say it's like the next stage in the printing press, and in terms of information. So I can actually access information from Medina University,
baby.
actually.
Yes.
Not Medina University, from Masjid Nabawi. Masjid Nabawi actually has a repository of all their lessons in there. I mean, imagine that. You can be born and raised in the UK, learn Arabic from someone in the UK or even online, and then you can actually study the durus in the Haram in Medina with the mashayikh as if you live there, without having to travel there at all. All you have to do is just get up and do it. So the internet has and is changing human beings, and this is only the beginning. This is only the beginning, and I think this is what Muslims need to really sit down and think. How do we? I mean, when I say Muslims, I mean those who want to give da'wah. Need to sit down and think, how can we tap into this so that we can be in the forefront of the delivering of knowledge? Because best believe that other religions, other adyan are going to be doing this. Christians are going to be doing this. Buddhists are going to be doing this. They're going to be out there distributing their kufr.
But sorry to cut you. What comes on is information overload.
Yeah.
And the fact that all this knowledge now be taken for granted. They're acquiring the knowledge, keeping the knowledge, acting according to this knowledge. It seems at the back of my mind that the best thing is books anyway. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, you might say we can acquire a lot of information by watching YouTube all day, but if you're going to be serious, then you still got to go to books at the end of the day. So is the internet a real learning tool, practical learning tool, or do you still have to use books anyway? Do you get what I'm saying? How far can you take knowledge from the internet, if you get what I'm saying?
I mean, the way I see it is it's just a tool at the end of the day. Just like a car is a tool, a pen is a tool, your phone is a tool, a fan is a tool, a plow is a tool. So, for example, I could make the claim that tractors are harmful. Why are tractors harmful? Because a guy sits down 4 hours a day, 5 hours a day, 6 hours a day, going backwards and forwards, plowing the fields. No exercise. You might even get fat. So that's not very healthy, is it? Clearly, it's better off if he plows the field with his hand. Get the shovel, get the plow it. So at the end of the day, he's working his heart, he's doing his cardio, he's doing energy, whatnot. So, but at the same time, with that tractor, he's able to farm a lot more land. is able to produce a lot more food. That sustains a lot more people. So it's all it is just a tool. I never blame tools.
Yes.
It just means that tools are there. So let me define it properly. Tools are there to allow human beings to be more efficient.
Yes.
That's what it is. It allows
But
human beings
can
to be more efficient.
yeah, but
So
in the acquirement
go on.
of knowledge, can
Yeah.
the internet be a more efficient tool in regards to acquiring
No.
knowledge?
Yeah. So back to the issue of the internet, which is your question about, is it harmful or does it is it? But the internet is a more efficient way of acquiring knowledge, in terms of acquiring it, not acquiring it, putting it here, but acquiring it into your hands.
Yes.
But it doesn't mean that doesn't bypass the human element of actually learning. Does that make sense? So if I was to gather knowledge or gather information, the internet is definitely a more efficient way of doing that. But some people may suffice with the gathering and overlook the actual learning. So it's just like, again, same issue that if you go back to the analogy of the tractor. The tractor is a more efficient way of farming, but it doesn't overrule or overwrite the need for cardio, for exercise, to be healthy. So if you're now using the tractor to achieve more in farming, you now still have to actually hit the gym or do something else to do your cardio. Does that make sense? So same thing
Yes.
with regards to internet. Internet is a more efficient way of gathering information, but you still have to sit down and actually learn it. So, but
Yes.
again, like I'm saying, it's just something that we may take the tool, use the tool, and forget what we may be losing as a result of the tool. It's not the fault of the tool. The tool does what it's supposed to do. The tool by
Yes.
design was to make it more efficient to do what it's supposed to do. Like driving, that's a good one. When I used to be in Medina University, before I bought a car, when I bought a car, so I was driving to and from the uni, I put on weight. Because before I went to have the car, I used to walk it there, walk it back, and walk it. I used to do a lot more walking. So no one can say that driving a car and saving time. I mean, there wasn't any benefit, because one of the benefits I got from driving was that I was able to listen to the radio and listen to the tapes on the way to the university and back. That was, again, efficiency. I was able to achieve something, get there quicker, not waste time, carry, there's a lot of benefits. So back to the internet, I think the internet does have a lot of benefits, but I think human beings, we need to learn how these tools can help us.
Yes.
And we also need to learn what else we need to do to make up for this new efficiency. So, like you mentioned, the issue of information overload. That's a very good point. That's a very important point, especially when it comes to the issue of as our friend Trump, when he coined the word fake news. Even that, we as human beings have to learn how to filter out fake news, how to filter out lies. Because there's so much information out there, we actually have to learn new skills of how to use this tool to filter out lies. And I think I've even seen that develop. I've got one group of brothers over COVID, due to all the nonsense and the lies and the propaganda going from both ends, by the way, not just from those who are pro-vaccine, but from the opposite. It made a lot of people start asking the questions. Where's your sources? Where did you get this article from? Where are the stats from? They're not just saying, oh, look how bad this is. He said, and this is what he said, and blah, blah, blah. It was more like, okay, this is what was said, but who said it? Why did they say it? What's the agenda? Who has corroborated this information? So these are tools these are skills we have to use or learn that helps us to use the tool of the internet. I think that's all it is, really. It's just that we need to learn that this is a tool. How do we use this tool efficiently and properly?
Yeah, meaning this tool, although it's fantastic in acquiring information, you still need to go through the books, for sources, to confirm sources. Who said that? When did they say it? And you always have to go back to a book, or go to a scholar, or a professor. Meaning the internet is not that. You might say it's a learning tool if you want to learn,
But
carpentry,
even you saying
whatever.
that, from the internet, you can access the books. From the internet, you can ask the sheikh. I mean, for
Yes.
example, like I mentioned already about the issue of Asim Al-Hakim.
Mm. And
I mean,
how did that
without
discussion
the
go?
internet, it wasn't really a discussion. He made a video and I replied to it. He never replied back to me. I mean, I've asked many times for a discussion, but nothing about it. But my point is, without the
Yes.
internet, I wouldn't know who he is. He wouldn't know who I
Yes.
am. And
Yes.
that's the beauty of the internet, is that
Yes.
people can access information across the globe. The only thing that was missing from the internet really was money, which is another
Mm.
discussion. But
Mm.
once we can exchange information,
Mm-hmm.
we can exchange ideas and thoughts, we can exchange minds,
Mm-hmm.
we can even now exchange product now on the internet. And now we can
Yes.
exchange value of the internet. So
Mm.
essentially, think of it. If you can exchange ideas, you can exchange product,
Mm-hmm.
and you can exchange value, the
Mm-hmm.
internet has become another world. I know
Mm.
might sound a bit meta, but think about it. In the real world, what do? We interact with people, we
Mm-hmm.
exchange ideas, we exchange value, we
Mm-hmm.
exchange what we exchange. If and now we have a realm where we can do everything we can do in the real world, we can now do on the internet. So essentially, it is now another verse. We have the real verse, and now we
Mm.
have the
Don't say it.
metaverse.
Oh my days, brother. Step back. Step back.
I don't mean metaverse as in like Facebook. I'm just saying we
Mm.
have a world which will, my words, it will do what we do in the real world because it's more efficient. I mean, for example, let's be honest. I
Yes.
can now realistically employ staff who can all work and interact with each other across the globe. I
Got
don't even
you.
need an office anymore.
Got you.
And I can get paid by clients. I can
Mm.
pay staff
Mm.
all online. I can have a guy in India, I can have a guy in Australia, I can have a guy in Saudi Arabia, I can have a guy in Egypt, and all come together in a meeting and we all discuss stuff. We all share
Mm-hmm.
stuff. If we're a coder, we can even if we're writing documents, we can actually collaborate on a document.
Mm-hmm.
So the internet is fulfilling the role of the real world. And this is what people need to recognize, that this is happening. You can't argue it, you can't fight it, it's happening.
Mm.
You
Mm.
can't say, oh, I prefer the real world, walking in the fields and that kind of stuff. Yeah, great, walk in the fields.
Yes.
But my point is that you can still do what you want to do in the real world in the internet world. I mean,
Mm.
Amazon's making that very much the case. I can now run a whole business on Amazon. I know a
Yes.
brother does that. He has a whole business. All he has is his warehouse
Mm-hmm.
somewhere out in the fields and in the sticks, and he just gets orders and just delivers
Mm.
orders all day. He
I
has a whole
get you.
business.
I get you. We understand from the business perspective, from the perspective of gaining information, fantastic tool. But then there's the humanity side
Yeah.
where affecting morals, misguiding. Now people are confused. What is the truth? People are confused.
Sorry, when you say people
What
confused, do you mean more confused than before, or just confused, just
more
like before?
confused because now they have more information instead of having to going through 10 lies, they go through 1,000 lies. So no doubt in you can say business transaction, you can gain more information, but there are still issues to do with humanity that need to be left for the real world. Do you get what I'm saying? There's no point saying, "Well,
See,
I'm gonna live in the metaverse." No, you have to live
no,
in.
no,
You got to live. You have to live in the real world as a priority. Meeting
brother,
people, having
we already
conversations.
live in the metaverse. Bro, we already live in the metaverse. What are we doing right now, brother? You're not here.
I get you. I
Bro,
get you. And you know, it's
we're
so
living it
sad.
now.
You know, it's so sad. I see you more time on the internet, actually meet you in life, and you just live up the road from me. That's so bad.
No, the thing
You
is
know,
that
I'm gonna come
the thing
check you,
is it's
brother. I'm gonna come
bad,
check you.
but
Mm,
the thing is we think it's bad, but I look at the flip side.
mm,
If you never had the internet, I probably would never see you then.
mm,
I am
mm.
actually seeing you now.
Yes.
The thing
Uh,
is,
uh,
it's not that I don't not see you because of the internet. I
yes.
see you because of the internet. Do you see the difference?
Yes.
It's not that because of the internet I don't see you anymore. It's because we have the internet. I actually
I
see you
see.
now.
Got you.
For example, I've got this summer fiqh class I'm going to have in August,
Yes.
and I was thinking who I can invite to come and take part in delivering a lesson on fiqh or some lessons here and there. And I thought to myself, yeah, but that's long, man. Asking man to travel, come all this way to do a 2-hour lesson and go back again. I thought to myself, fund that, man. Just tell them to log in
Just do it
like this.
online.
Just do it online. Tell them if they want to
Yes.
take a segment, take 10 minutes, take half an hour of a section, do a little bab. They can just fire
Yes.
up their computer, deliver the lecture, and then whatnot. So he doesn't
But
have
has
to
that made us
travel all
become
of it.
lazy? Has it made us become lazy then? Like really, we
It's made us
should
more. It's made us more efficient,
go.
brother. More efficient.
Okay.
Meaning, he can now spend that hour traveling to and traveling from doing something else more useful.
Got you. Got you.
That thing, that more useful thing could be cardio. It could be hit the gym. It could be spending time with his kids. It could be reading some books. It's efficiency, brother.
Yes.
It's efficiency.
But
So, like I said, you're gone.
But in regards to just saying the acquirement of knowledge, seriously, you need to sit down with people. You need to take notes with on a long-term, proper basis. Like, how far can you get as a student of knowledge on the internet, realistically?
See, this is what I'm saying is that we need to up our game as Muslims, because what we don't want to do is find ourselves 5 to 10 years behind the competition. So you mentioned we need to have interaction with other people, other Tulab, whatnot. We can actually do that now.
Get you.
It isn't the best experience, as in, for example, and I'm not, by the way, this is not me encouraging that you must do this instead of anything. There's a little caveat there. I'm not telling anyone you must do this instead of this. I'm not saying that. I'm saying it's there. It's a tool. You could now have a VR headset, go into a room with other Tulab, and have your conversation with them as you are there. Now, having a clunky thing on your head is clunky. It might be expensive. You can't afford to spend money on it. My point is, we can, as Muslims, have forums, have locations where we can get together and converse and meet people. I can walk into a room where they're up to lab there and speak, and we can talk with each other. And I can walk out to another room to other lab. It could be halaqat. We can have different lectures and lessons on different floors. You go to the second floor, is one lesson with Sheikh so and so, and another. I mean, what it's basically what I'm trying to do now with our new center. On Decentraland, where we have like 12 different floors. So we're trying to have a place where we can have different mashayikh from across the world doing different lessons. So you can go to the first floor and there's a lesson there with Sheikh in Medina. Another lesson on the 7th floor with a Sheikh in Morocco. Again, should you actually make the safar and the rihla and the travel to Morocco and Saudi Arabia? Yeah, of course, go for it if you can. If you've got the funds, if you've got the visa, got the ability.
Yes.
But if you haven't got the funds, you haven't got the visa, you haven't got the ability, this is an extra tool.
Yes. Yes.
So
you could be.
I'm not saying. You go on.
You're saying in the metaverse, you could actually be in the virtual classroom, sitting in front of the sheikh, taking notes.
That happens.
You could.
No, but that's the thing. It happens. There are companies, kuffar. I'm saying there are non-Muslim companies.
Yes.
Who have meetings, international meetings, in the metaverse, where they look right to their colleague on the right, look left to the colleague on the left, they can talk to people. It happens. It's not like it doesn't happen. It happens. Companies, I mean, even there's one company called Binance. Some may know it, some may not know it. But
Binance,
some of the the crypto exchange. Some of the governments of the world were complaining that this company has no location. Because obviously they want to have a location so they can send letters to and find people and whatnot. But the point was, a whole company that was worth billions had no location. There was no office. Because everyone worked wherever they lived. Wherever they live, they can work.
Got you.
And Muslims need to recognize this.
Need to embrace it.
You need to embrace it. You can be stubborn. Say no. I want to do it this way, or the traditional way, and you can do that. But you need to recognize where things are going and what you can do as well. And again, the issue of efficiency. I mean, I want to study lots of stuff with many people, but I can't. But if I could save the 2 hour journey. Now, for example, I know a brother who lives in Abu Dhabi, but
Mm.
many lessons in Dubai.
Yeah.
And I think the journey is about an hour and a half drive. So if you want to attend durus of Mashaykh, it's about an hour and a half to 2 hours there and
Yeah.
back, which
Yeah.
he actually did for a bit. He actually did travel for a bit. But how about if we just say, look, brother, rather than traveling, fire up your computer or put on your VR headset and attend the lesson as
Yeah.
though you were there before. And I think this is what we need to start developing these infrastructures so that it can become easy, make it facilitate it. Yeah, okay. Let's look at the downsides. Will some people put on weight because they're moving around? Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Will some people become or feel isolated because they're not actually interacting with people?
Yes.
Yes. Will this happen? Will that happen? I'm sure all of that will happen. So what you do is you make a list of things that are not happening,
The negatives. Yeah.
because of it, and then make it happen. If you're not getting the cardio, do the cardio. Not getting interaction, find forums where you can have the interaction. It's just a tool, brother. Just the same tool that you can that you can do. You know what I mean?
Got you. It needs to be managed properly. I mean, whether we like it or not, we're getting dragged down that hole anyway. The metaverse and whatever. So I think Muslims got to be,
Bro,
as you said, top of their game.
Muslims need to recognize that these things are just tools, and tools need to be learned. A knife is a tool. A knife can be used to cut vegetables. A knife can be used to kill a person. It's just a tool. The internet can be used to spread the truth, and the internet can be used to spread lies. And I think you mentioned that in the past, maybe I could deal with 10 lies, but now you've got to deal with 1,000 lies,
100. Yes. Got
100 lies. But let's look at the flip side. You can actually access the truth. In the past, you might have been in a village where the truth was not there. There was no du'at in your village teaching you Tawheed. There was no du'a, there's no mashayikh living nearby you can go and learn about the sunnah. All you knew was worshipping the graves, Ali controls the world, or that Jesus Christ alone saved you. That's all you knew. You didn't know anything beyond that. I mean, I even met a guy who was Muslim, who never met a Muslim in his life. He didn't even know what the word shahada, he didn't even know what the shahada was. He never heard of this concept of saying la ilaha illallah. So I said to him, so how you become Muslim then? He said, I heard about it on TV and I searched the internet. I learned about what Muhammad was in Islam, and I said to myself, this is I identify, that word, I identify as these people, Muslim. But he had no idea about anything.
Identification, you've opened that door, brother.
But my point was, this guy accessed the truth just by firing up the internet. Whereby, if you go back 20 years before that, when the internet didn't exist, because I met this guy in the late 90s. So if you go back 20 years before that, he would have no access to Islam.
Got you.
Beyond traveling to a Muslim and sitting down with him and speaking to him, if that Muslim even knows anything about Islam. Right now, any Muslim on planet Earth can fire up the internet and search IERA and search Muslim College and search YouTube and get durus, even lessons by Ibn Uthaymeen, Ibn Baz, translated. So yeah, there's a lot of kufr and dalal and misguidance out there, but also the truth is out there. And I believe any rational person who Allah has given knowledge and aql, when they see the truth, they will accept it.
Got you.
Even though there's a sea of nonsense, when they see the truth, they'll accept it.
Yes. I mean, is there a conflict, or will there be a conflict? And this is where morals comes in. This is where values come in, and then you have so-called modernity, new ways of learning, new ways of studying,
new ways of getting married,
new ways of getting married,
new ways of getting divorced, new ways of raising your children, and education.
And one of the point is obviously Islam and Muslims have to be on top of their game, have to be forward thinking, embracing new ways of doing things, and not be old school, as you mentioned, the printing press. Like, what was that technology? We can't use it. It's haram. Da, 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 da. No, we don't want to be left behind. We've got to be, we've got to be forward thinking. But at the same time, there are values and institutions that have to stay old school.
Why?
To value it. I
So when you say
mean,
old school, in what ways? In terms of learning the Quran from the low kind of old school,
yeah. So
from the
you might say, for
tablet.
example, you know, I mean, you could. I'm just thinking about the practicality of learning Quran in the metaverse, or do you actually need to be in front of a qari to learn the makhraj huruf, or can you get good enough quality to learn it in the metaverse? You get what I'm saying?
See, I mean, there are definitely
The thing,
things that can't
also thing
happen.
like getting married online, for example.
Mhm.
Can that? Oh well, the wali. Just say I set up a wali service. I'm the wali. You
Yeah,
never meet me, never see me. I see you online,
yeah,
interview online. You say
yeah,
X, Y, Z. I'm a fantastic geezer. I'm a millionaire. I don't see you. And I say, yeah,
yeah.
okay, you sound good. Marry this sister. Do you get what I'm saying? Although you can do things online, can that in itself reduce the value of things? Do you get what I'm saying? It might be, yeah, we're saving time. You don't have to travel to me. I'll meet you online 6 times instead of having to,
You know, it's
travel to. Do you get what I'm saying? But are there
look,
some?
look,
Go on.
look in terms of other things.
Mm,
So we had horse and cart.
yes.
That's how we got around. And then all of a sudden we had cars.
Yes.
And I'm sure when cars first came about,
Mm,
there were a lot of things that went well, that didn't work out.
mm,
Accidents, death, crushing people, killing
mm,
people, all kind of stuff. And I'm sure people who had the horse and cart said, "Oh, what's this nonsense of cars? We never had these deaths before.
mm.
Now we've got cars. All these people are dying. So
Yeah.
what did we do? We made systems
Seatbelts.
to mitigate those deaths. We had traffic lights. We had roads.
20 mile
We
an hour
built
limit now.
infrastructure. Yeah,
20 mile
we
an
had
hour limit.
infrastructure. What's 21 hour limit mean?
Meaning we can't drive more than 25 mile an hour on the roads these days.
Yeah, 20 mile hour. Yeah, 20 mile hour limit. So, but yeah, that's a good point. Speed limits, bro.
Mm,
When the car was first invented, there was no speed limit other than the engine, what your engine could do, what your car
mm.
could handle. But
Yeah.
then we
Yeah.
built infrastructure. We built systems to
Mm,
make these tools usable.
mm,
Same thing with the internet. We're just in the early stages of building this infrastructure. So, for example, getting married on the internet or online.
mm.
Can it happen? Yeah.
Yes.
Are there a lot of things that can go wrong? Lots of things can go wrong. How do you fix these things? With rules. There's lots of ways in which you can do it. Some of these rules we haven't developed yet. Some of these rules we have developed already. But it's just about having policies and procedures that help facilitate the easy, smooth use of these tools. For example, okay, listen to an example of knives. Islam has given us policies and rules about weapons. In Islam, you're not allowed as a weapons seller to sell weapons in times of fitna. That's a policy. That's a rule.
Mm, mm,
That's teaching Muslims how to navigate the arena of selling weaponry.
mm,
You cannot sell your weapon to someone you know who's going to use it to kill someone.
mm, mm,
I mean, like a knife. Again, those are rules and policies and procedures that are there to help us mitigate that. So we could say, for example, I could say, okay, if I want to be a wali for someone
mm.
online, I need some form of identification, some way of
Yes.
verifying that who I'm speaking to is what I'm speaking to, and some way
Mm-hmm.
of verifying that every time I'm speaking to this person, it is that person. For example,
Yes.
so that if I do conduct a nikah, I don't do mistakenly what happened to Yaqub alayhi salam, who married his sister indirectly. Remember, he wanted to marry the younger one and ended up marrying the older one. The dad
It's
said,
okay.
remember Yusuf alayhi salam, Yusuf's dad, he
Yes.
married, he worked for his uncle for 10 years
Mm.
to marry Yusuf's mum. And on the wedding
Okay.
night, after the nikah, he discovered that it was the older sister. He said to the uncle, no, I want to marry the younger one. See, if you
Mm,
want the younger
mm,
one, you have to work the
mm.
next 10 years.
Wow, subhanallah.
So my point is, he got married to the wrong one. So there's so many things you can do and you must do to mitigate these things, but all it
Yes.
means is that you need to do that, and all it means is that these are the policies and procedures you have to. But it's not the fault of the tool. We just need
Yes.
to learn how to use the tool.
Mm.
That's what it is. That's literally all it is. How to use the tool?
I fear
It's like
that.
anything.
Yeah, I get you. I get you. But sometimes what may happen is because technology is developing so fast, we use the tool at breakneck speed without putting in those rules and regulations. It's only after we find like, damn, we fell into a mistake or this doesn't work, and then we have to adjust after the mistakes have been made. Like you might. I mean, get married
I
over
mean,
the internet, for
here's an
example.
example.
Say you get married over the internet, for example, and then
Yeah.
you go to travel to the place, you ain't got no visa. They won't give you a visa. You can't ever get to the country. That's it. That was just like done. You have to divorce now over the internet. You know what I'm
No,
saying? So,
you don't have to divorce. You don't have to divorce. You're still married. It's just a problem you have to solve. But about the issue
mm,
of using things at breakneck speed and whatnot. I'll give you an
mm,
example here.
mm,
There's one sheikh called Bakr Abu Zaid in
mm-hmm,
Saudi Arabia. I'm
mm-hmm.
not too sure if he's still alive, but anyway, he's got a booklet, a little pamphlet. Actually, I haven't.
Yes.
I just saw it this the other day. I was moving some books around,
Mm-hmm.
and the title of the book is Adab al Hatif, the
Adwal Hatib.
manners of using the
Telephone.
telephone.
Mm. Okay.
So he's actually wrote a book highlighting Islamic policies and procedures and manners of
mm,
using the telephone.
mm,
That was written in his lifetime, and the telephone's been around long before that book was authored.
mm,
So yeah,
mm.
I mean, this is what I'm saying to you. We as
Yes.
Muslims can't bury our heads in the sand and act like it doesn't exist, and then when we have to deal with it, we deal with it.
Yes.
Not all of us, but some of us need to be proactive. Need to
Mm.
research. Need to analyze and to put forward policies, procedures, guidelines, advice,
Yes.
nasiha, videos, audios, lectures, khutbas, educate
I'm,
people about how to behave with all
Chef,
these
I'm
new
gonna
tools.
we're gonna finish on this one. Okay, Chef, but I
Yeah,
need some
that's fine.
advice on this. What age do you give your child a phone? What would you say is the age?
We can expand upon this more later on because I think it is a long conversation only because
Mm,
with Apple iPhone, you
mm,
can lock that phone down
the minimal.
solid
Mm,
to the point
mm,
that if they receive a text message
mm-hmm.
with an image, the phone will filter the image and you can choose if they even see the image before they see the image. So
Okay.
they can actually have a phone and have
Mm,
it so locked down that everything they do on it, they do it, or everything they're doing is only within the remit and the boundaries you've set for them.
mm,
So
mm,
because of that, it becomes a useful tool that you can navigate their way through that. But if it's
mm.
just the idea of can they should have a phone, again, it's just a tool. Would you give your son a knife? What age do you give your child a knife to cut? I mean, it's like anything. What age do you let your kids start cooking? That's a good
Yeah.
question. What age do you let your child start using the cooker and start cooking up
Yeah.
breakfast on his own?
I mean, this is probably a question that all parents will face. Oh, mommy, daddy, I want a phone.
Yeah,
And for me, it's like the internet should have a age restriction. Like no
yeah,
one need you should like
do
be
it.
16 plus, 18 plus. Like I'll give you a
No,
brick phone, but if
no,
you want something
you can give
other,
an iPhone
mm,
and you can lock it
yeah,
down, brother. You can go as rigid as
mm,
only these websites I put in the phone you can access. Or if they want to go to
mm,
new website, it sends you to your phone
mm,
notification. Your son wants to access this website. Do you give them permission? You
mm,
check out the website and you can say yes, they have access to that website.
mm,
So it's not if you're asking me, can you give your child an unrestricted open phone? I would say
mm,
no.
mm.
I would say a
Yes,
blanket no, because they're gonna get exposed to all sorts of nonsense. But if you're saying I want to give them a phone, how can I do it Islamically? Again, we
yes,
have procedures and policies we can go. We could probably dedicate a whole channel on what can
yes,
you do
yes.
to give your child, and this thing lasts up until they're 16. So they actually make an account for them. It has their date of birth
Yes.
on it. And when they get
Yes.
16 or 17, I think it turns off automatically because now they're older, or whatever the case may be. But
Yes.
it can happen. It can happen, bro. It can happen.
But what do you think, for example, the child being responsible for whatever they see and whatever they do? 16 is a good age. Like, okay, I'll give you a phone, but I'll give you a phone at 16, and whatever you do from there is up to you. For Allah, when you get this device, like some people might say, oh well, 12, 13, 14, I'll give you a phone, it's not a problem. What do you think, from your opinion, your experience, um, is a reasonable age where you say, well, okay, you're now responsible for your own actions?
So there's two parts of that. The first thing I'll say is that it does depend on the child and the upbringing. Some
Mm,
children and some parents have raised their child in a way that the child doesn't want to see nonsense, and he knows it exists, and he avoids it where he can, and you can trust
yes.
him with more.
Mm,
And you have some children, by their nature, just rebellious. If you tell them not to go
mm,
somewhere, they will go there just because you said not to.
mm, mm,
So it's not. I don't think it's a blanket answer. I think it depends on who the child, the family, and also
mm,
the friends. The friends. I think the friends are probably more. I'll be honest. This is a good way to end it. We can discuss more further. I think
mm,
friends
mm.
are more damaging to your child than a phone, than the internet as a whole.
Mm.
Actually, I think
Yes.
friends are more damaging to your child than the internet and all that isn't on the internet, because
Yes.
friends will bring the nonsense to your child regardless.
Yes.
Whereas good friends will bring the khair to your child regardless. And that is
Mm.
this is the key. If you see your child's friends are not in the right way,
And for
don't be surprised
ban them before you
if
ban
your
the
kid,
phone. Yeah.
yeah, you don't be surprised if your child goes the same way, because you go towards that, and this is what people need to recognize, especially
Mm.
when they allow the kids to play out on the streets and they see them hang around. Don't be surprised, man. Don't be surprised. Children, especially teenage
Mm.
boys want to do what their friends do.
Mm.
No one
Mm.
wants to do what the internet does. People want to do what their friends on the internet do.
Yes, you could say. You could say. No, it's just a
So
dilemma. I
they,
think every parent is facing, the pressure to get their kid a phone, and knowing what that opens up to. We need some kind of rough guidance. Like, well, okay, they're out in the world anyway, so they're gonna see here. If it's not their own phone, it's their friend's phone. So, but yeah, I think we do. I mean, in regards to technology in general, and how Muslims deal with technology, we do need some advice on this situation.
brother,
Um,
from my experience and the experience of people across the internet and things I've heard and things I've
mm,
read and whatnot,
mm,
every child, especially a young boy, who's ever
mm-hmm.
been exposed to madness on it at all, even before the internet,
Yes,
it always came from those they knew.
got you. Mm,
Whether it's especially the issue of pornography, for example, which is I guess a lot of people are worried about with their children.
mm,
Indecent acts, indecent images, and all kind of stuff. Bro, it's all
mm.
from friends.
Yes,
It's
yes, yes,
hard.
yes.
It's not. It can happen independently of friends, but it's not as much as friends. Because with friends see things, they find it interesting, find it funny, and they just show it to other friends. That's how it's
Mm,
almost like a disease. They expose
mm,
something and it spreads like a wildfire through that chain of stuff. That's how it
mm,
is, man. That's how it is. I heard of or saw certain things when I was growing up, except through friends. Because when I was growing up, there was no internet, only videos and cassettes and whatever
yeah,
you could. We didn't even have email, so it's always from friends.
yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah,
telling you, man,
yeah.
friends are way more damaging to a child than the internet on its own, independently. That's it. That's that's
Got
that's
you.
that's a good way to end on that one, inshallah.
Yeah. Sheikh, there's so many things that need to be discussed. And I think next week's is too long. Obviously, the issue of the LGBT plus 1, 2, 3 needs to be discussed. What is a woman these days is a discussion. What is a man these days? Alpha man. Like, there's just so many things being fired at the Muslim
Bro,
community at the
all I
moment.
know is that
Mm.
I identify as a cat. That's all I know, brother.
Brother, I don't
Meow.
accept it. Brother, I'm not accepting it. If you say to me, cool, you're a
Meow,
cat, I ain't
brother.
gonna do it. Huh?
Meow. Meow, brother.
I think you're mad, Star. You're mad. But
You know
I
what?
mean,
Actually, there's one guy actually asked me. I went to get my first jab way back in the day.
Yes. Mm.
And the guy said, "What's your ethnicity?" And I said,
Mm.
"White." He looked at me. And I said,
Mm.
"What?" I said, "Put white."
They're gonna give you a cheaper jab in it.
I said, "Put the
They're
white,
gonna give you the
brother."
black. They give you the black jab. You know that. They got them lined up there. Black jab, white jab, Asian jab.
Bro,
Go on.
it's ridiculous. But anyway, we'll discuss all that another time, shall we? We can have that joke and another sketch.
Yeah. Brother, it's been nice sitting down with you, mashallah.
It's been too long. It was too long, bro. We had too long a break.
It's still too long, man. I've got a list of things I want to chat to you about, but we're gonna cover them. Yeah, there is some humor, but there's some serious stuff we're gonna get through.
We'll get there. Inshallah.
Yes. So we're gonna call it a day. We're just over an hour.
Okay.
Jazakallah khair for your time, Sheikh.
Hayakumullah.
The Muslims, we got to do a lot of work. We got to do a lot of thinking and discussing, and inshallah, khair, inshallah. Jazakallah khair, Sheikh, for your time,
Jazakallah khairan.
and we'll see you again next week on the Muslim Morning podcast. Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Barakallahu fikum, Sheikh. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.